Hello gorgeous soul friends, welcome to my channel, Hannah DeVaux. Thank you so much for tuning in and for allowing me into your wondrous experience today. I wanted to make this vlog because I've had a few people ask me to make more videos talking about plants and educating people about plants, but since that's not really my vibe with YouTube, I mean granted I love plants and I would love to teach you guys more about them, but that's not really what this channel is for. This is geared more towards the occult, more towards spiritual practice. So I'm deciding to incorporate plant magic and green magic into this video. But at the same time, we're gonna sit here and propagate some of these plants that I have. We'll go ahead and propagate like this Pothos, and I have a couple others that I'll be propagating with you guys, kind of showing you how to propagate your plants if that's something that you're interested in. So stick around if you want to learn how to propagate your plants. Let's talk about some signs that make someone a green witch. So the first one is having a strong connection to nature and to Mother Earth. So maybe you find that you have this desire to help the planet. You know, you're really drawn to recycling or to any other environmental endeavor. Maybe you try to go after jobs or career paths that are environmentally friendly. Maybe you're drawn towards career paths that require you to be outside, that require you to be around plants or around animals. And you'll find that they specifically work with trees, flowers, herbs, spices, and other kinds of plants. Green witches are the types of people who want to bring nature into their space. So it's not uncommon to see green witches with spice racks full of different kinds of herbs, not just for cooking, but for spell work as well, with lots of different kinds of plants, lots of different kinds of teas. You know, they really like to incorporate all things from the planet. So another sign of a green witch is somebody who loves hiking, loves being outside, going on runs, spending time in the great outdoors. Somebody who really likes water sports as well. I've noticed that a lot of green witches are really into whitewater rafting or canoeing or even swimming. You know, there's this divine connection to Mother Nature and to the earth and to the elements. So it's extremely common to see people who are drawn to green magic putting themselves in situations where they will be hiking, where they will be spending more time outdoors. You may even find them being nature guides or people who are always out in nature. They're always outside. Landscapers as well, like people who have to work with plants, have to work with animals, have to work with the elements. These kinds of people usually have a knack for green magic. So another trait that defines a green witch is a desire to have a garden or a knack for gardening. So maybe you yourself have your own garden, maybe you grow your own vegetables, your own plants, your own flowers, berries, fruits, all of that stuff. Or maybe there's a strong desire to do so. It doesn't necessarily mean you're not a green witch if you don't have a natural knack for gardening. So just because you're not naturally good at gardening, you're not naturally good at taking care of plants, doesn't necessarily mean green witchcraft isn't for you. But it's not uncommon to see green witches who have their own vegetable plots, who have their own house plants, and who have a knack and a desire to garden, because once again, it's that divine connection with Mother Earth. Anything that can connect you to Mother Earth is that green witch spark within trying to come out and express itself. So the desire to have a garden or the desire to have house plants is totally enough to make somebody have an affinity for green magic. You know, green witches are the type that they're not afraid to get down and dirty. They'll get in there with the soil, they'll get dirty, they do not care. It's kind of part of the pleasure of being a green witch is being able to touch the soil and feel the leaves of your plants. And you know, the physical experience of being a green witch is a part of the exciting journey of green magic. Another trait I've seen in green witches is they tend to love animals and wildlife. So you may find that people who are drawn to these career paths of working with animals, working with wildlife, tend to have a deeper connection to green magic. So the next trait of a green witch is somebody who is environmentally conscious. Once again, it's that divine connection to Mother Earth, right? That awareness that, yes, there is indeed a lot of pollution that we experience on this planet. There is a kind of entitlement that humans have towards our home, towards our planetary mother. People are unconscious of their waste, and green witches, people who are affiliated with green magic, tend to be more conscious of the health of Mother Earth. So you'll usually see these people shopping consciously, eating consciously, disposing of their waste consciously. These are the types of people that really value Mother Earth and work towards making this planet a better place to live. So even in career paths, you may find green witches going into jobs that are environmentally conscious or working with companies that are environmentally conscious. The people who are creating tech, the people who are creating the solutions to the climate problem and to the pollution problem are affiliated with green magic, whether they know it or not. So the last characteristic I'll mention here on this video is a connection to the Fae. You may find that you feel very drawn to the fantasy genre. Maybe you're drawn to mermaids or fairies or any creature of fantasy, but particularly fairies and beings of magic. Maybe you invite them in for protection, but it's not uncommon to see green witches working closely with the fairy realms and the Fae. So if you resonated with most of these characteristics, I would say, yes, you're definitely a green witch, or at least on the path to being a very powerful green witch. And even if you find that a lot of these traits didn't resonate with you, but you still have an interest in being a green witch, don't worry, these traits don't make or break your ability to be a green witch. I mean, anybody can practice green witchcraft. It's just that some have a more natural affinity to it, much like somebody who naturally plays the piano or they're naturally good at a certain sport. Some people are naturally good at connecting with the other realms or connecting with nature. So I'm gonna propagate a couple of plants for you. I'll show you how I propagate my plants, and then I'll also give you guys some green witchcraft tips on how you can start incorporating green magic into your life today. So first I'm gonna propagate this pothos because it's got this super duper long vine, and normally I really do like long vines on my pothos because I do love putting them up high so that way, you know, they kind of dangle and cascade downward. But this guy's getting a little bit long, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut him for this video. So let's look at how propagation happens. The first step to propagating anything is checking to see if your plant has any little nodes. And you'll notice like these little kind of bumps sticking up off of the stem. So these little nodes right here. And there's a bunch of different ones on this pothos. Some of them are more developed than others, but the node is the key point in propagating plants. Granted, not all plant propagation has to do with cutting below the nodes, but it's a very common practice and kind of a basic practice with plant propagation is cutting below the nodes. So these little nodes that I showed you, you're going to take your plant, your pothos, and you're going to take some sterilized scissors. Make sure that they're clean because you can spread diseases to your plants with some nasty scissors. So always sanitize your scissors before and after you prune your plants or cut for propagations. So this guy is pretty long, but I'm really not going to take a super long cutting because I do love long vines on my pothos. So I'll go ahead and go about right here. So you can see where this node is. Right here. Not quite sure if it's focusing, but I'm going to go ahead and cut below this node. And then I'm going to take this jar that already has a propagation in it. It actually has a couple of them. I like to kind of group them together because it looks really full. It looks really pretty. Oh, but wait. We actually do have to take off some of these leaves because it will not fit in the jar. So you can just kind of, you know, take off the excess leaves in order to create a thinner stem so that you can stick it in some water. And voila, that's how you propagate a pothos. Super duper easy. You just leave it in this water until you start to see roots grow. Let me show you an example. So if you want to take a look at this guy, he's got a root right here growing. Super healthy root. I've only had this guy propagating for maybe 2 weeks and there's already a root. So They grow pretty quickly, in my personal opinion. Like, from what I've seen, how long it takes to develop roots is entirely dependent on the plant and the plant conditions. So just be patient. I've had plants that take 3-4 months to grow roots. Like, it takes a long time. I've had plants sitting in jars with water for 6, 7, 8 months, and it didn't start growing roots until maybe 3 or 4 months in. One green witchcraft tip that you can incorporate into your houseplant care routine is using moon water or crystal water in your propagations, or just to water your plants. In my experience, I've found that there is an accelerated growth of healthy leaves when I use moon or crystal water. I personally prefer moon water. I love it. I love moon water, but crystal water will work too. It's really just about the intention that you're placing onto the water. I mean, you could even use water charged with your own intention, but I've found that moon water is great for plant propagations. It's great for watering your plants. Even just misting your plants with moon water every now and again is great for enhancing the energy around them. Because plants are conscious energy beings as well, so when you're changing the energy around the plant is going to respond based on that energy. You can also let your plants sit in a window where there's moonlight shining in, or if it's hot enough outside, you can put them outside during the nighttime, during a full moon, and allow them to soak up the moon's rays and soak up the moon's energy. That can also charge them. You can put them out with your crystals. You can also put crystals inside the soil. I actually do have a very dirty onyx egg inside of this Monstera Adasonii pot. And this girl has grown so much. Look at her foliage. Okay, look at her foliage. It is so absolutely amazing. She grows so fast, and she's always grown really fast. And I've had this onyx in here for a little while now. It's been I think since I've had this plant, I just kind of put the onyx in there whenever I got it, and she does well. She does really, really well. So I can vouch for crystals in pots. I can vouch for crystals in water. Whatever resonates with you. At the end of the day, this is your practice. Use what works for you and ditch what doesn't. Since I already have this Monstera Adasonii in my hand, I guess I'll go ahead and propagate this one next. So it's the same concept. You got these little nodes here. I don't know if you can see them. They're along the stem. You got this one right here. I don't know why there's this hair tangled in the stem. Okay, you have this one here, you have this one here. You know, it gives you a lot of options in terms of where you can cut it. So this one's growing quite long, so I might take, I don't know, I really like when my plants vine. You can also wrap it around a post and allow it to grow upward. I just haven't made the time to go out and get a post because I actually do want to do that with this plant. But I'm gonna go ahead and I guess I'll cut this one, this little stem here. Okay, so once again, we're gonna take our sterilized scissors and we're gonna cut below the node. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut all the way down to the bottom here. And there you are, a Monstera Adasonii cutting. Healthy and happy for its new home in, this jar is a little too big. Maybe I should do the small jar. Oop, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to do the big jar. I'm thinking the big jar is probably gonna work better. This is like Goldilocks. I need something in between. I'm actually gonna stick it in here with these Pothos cuttings, just for the meantime, because I really don't feel like getting up and getting another jar when I can just stick it in here. So it's the same concept. Stick it in water, it'll eventually grow roots, and then you can pot it when it's ready. So my next green witchcraft tip is to incorporate symbology into your plant care routine. So drawing symbols on your pots, drawing symbols in the soil. You can also use compostable paper, write your wishes on them, and bury them in the soil. You can visualize it as you burying your wishes, so much like a plant, your wishes will eventually sprout and grow into something abundant and beautiful. So the next plant I'm gonna propagate is my split leaf Philodendron. A lot of people confuse these with Monstera deliciosas, but the difference between these plants is that these guys don't develop fenestrations like the Monsteras do. So Monsteras have these little Swiss cheese like holes in them. So these guys actually only have the split leaf. So that's what separates them from the Monstera. So you may see this and you may think it's Monstera, but I promise you it's not. It's a Philodendron. The way that these guys are set up though is a little bit different than the other plants that I have propagated in this video. The nodes are set at the bottom. You can kind of see one sticking out here. So these guys have their nodes set up at the bottom because they will grow into the soil, much like you can kind of see here. This is a node that has developed into a full root and has rooted itself in the soil. So I've decided that I'm probably gonna go ahead and take this piece right here because it seems to be the one that will least affect my plant, because I do want to maintain a full look with this plant, but I still want to show you guys how I propagate these. So you can see where I'm kind of digging my scissors a little bit into the soil. I'm right below that node. You can see the node is right here. I don't know if you can see, but the node is right here, just like every other plant that we've done so far. So I've actually taken another cutting from this stem where there was another node, but now we have this little node here, which will eventually grow into a root. So now I'm gonna go ahead and use the big jar for this big guy. So I'll plop him in here, see how he does in 2, 3, 4 weeks. I actually have another one in my kitchen, and I think I cut it maybe, gosh, I want to say maybe about a week ago, and it already has roots growing. So they do really well. I mean, if they're in the right conditions, they will grow roots pretty quickly. Another effective practice in green witchcraft is to affiliate each and every one of your plants with a loved one or with yourself. So you can assign a loved one to each of your plants, and every time you care for that plant, every time you give it water or fertilizer, you can visualize yourself giving love to your connection with that person, or maybe to that person as a whole, to their health, to their well-being. And you can do the same with you. You can visualize your plants as an extension of you, and every time that you care for them, you're caring for yourself. So it's really all about the intention. When you set the intention on these plants, you're programming the energy into these plants. So they're taking on the energy of your loved ones, or they're taking on the energy of you, and therefore it'll be a reflection in your energy or in your loved one's energy. So maybe you'll even start to notice that whenever you're not doing so great, your plant will start to wilt, or it'll start to develop yellow leaves, or there'll be something wrong with it. You can use those cues as signs and symbols from your soul that something needs work. You can also do this with any endeavors that you have or anything that you want to manifest. So every time you're investing energy into the plant through giving it water or giving it nutrients, you're investing into your endeavor. And eventually it will reflect in some way, shape, or form. And the very last plant I'm going to propagate today is this Marble Queen Pothos. I just love her. Look at her foliage. She looks amazing. So I really want a propagation of this. She hasn't really vined out very much since I've gotten her. She hasn't vined out at all, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take a cutting, and then let's see where it goes from there. So once again, it's the same thing. You know, this one's kind of deep in the soil since it's not super viney. There we are. Beautiful. Now this one I will put in the small jar. Amazing. And they have specific containers you can buy that are for propagations, and they're really pretty. I've been thinking about getting a propagation arrangement, like these little tiny like beaker glasses, these little tiny test tube like glasses, and they're specifically for propagations. But jars will work, glasses will work. I've even heard shampoo bottles will work. Pretty much anything you can put liquid in will work. So the last green magic tip I'll give for this video is talk to your plants, communicate with them, play music for them, sing for them. Your plants are conscious energy beings, so they are feeling the vibrations around them, meaning that they're feeling the vibrations coming from your spoken words, the music that you're playing, the things that you're saying, how you're saying certain things. Your plants are going to pick up on this, and they're going to react accordingly. So if you're saying hateful things to your plants, then naturally that energy surrounding the plant is going to turn negative, and then it won't support healthy plant growth. But that is the conclusion of this vlog for today. Thank you so much, guys, for sitting with me and watching me propagate my plants and letting me share some of my wonderful plants with you, and sharing some of my tips with you on green magic. If you have any experiences that you'd like to share down below with green magic, feel free to comment, and any other tips that you have for new green witches. But other than that, I will see you later. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. Bye-bye.